What's up guys, today I'll be doing a review of the new sporting hybrid boxing gloves, so stay tuned.
Uber up the styles like miles and shit, like 60s funky worms with waves and perms, just sending junkie.
Alright guys, so I got these 16-ounce new sporting hybrid boxing gloves I'm going to do a close-up on, and then we'll do the review on them. I want to give a shout out to Armand for sending me these gloves to try and review. And long story short, Armand actually purchased these gloves through Mexican Boxing Gloves, who's an independent seller on Instagram. He's the same guy I got my Hernandez and my Campeon gloves from. But anyhow, he got these gloves. He's been looking for some Mexican style gloves that are similar to Grant. Took a chance on these new sportings and just was not happy with these at all, to say the least. You know, I've heard a lot as far as the quality and customer service of new sporting going downhill as of late. The last gloves I got from them were those metallic blues. If you're subscribed to this channel, you probably have seen that review I did already on those metallic blue ones, which were nice. Those were great gloves, but I guess afterwards it slowly declined in quality as well as just the customer service. So I was kind of curious to see how these ended up turning out as far as how they performed and just the craftsmanship. And these definitely are not the same quality as the gloves I had before, mainly the craftsmanship. I know some of y'all have a really good eye for gloves, you know, like stitching and leather and all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure right off the bat, you probably are already pointing stuff out in this video, like, damn, that looks like crap, and that looks like crap. So, you know, we'll get through it here in a second, but I wanted to give you guys a close-up on these. One thing I also am starting to realize is I'm starting to hate hybrid-style gloves, and the reason I say that is that once you have these laced up, and I took the laces out of this one, that way you can kind of see the liner, but one thing I started realizing with lace-up gloves is that once you have these laced up, to be honest, you don't need the Velcro strap. I feel like it doesn't add any value or support to my wrist outside of the laces. And on the flip side, if you take the laces out and you just use the Velcro, the issue I have here with this is that right here you have this gigantic opening. Almost like they should just leave the elastic piece here to keep this together, because what happens is when you have your wraps on, you put your hands in here. Yes, this Velcro strap closes, but then this piece right here in the middle just opens up and it looks like crap. So you have this gigantic opening and it doesn't feel like, you don't get any support in this midsection here that kind of keeps everything together. So, you know, I'm just not a fan of that. You know, I started kind of realizing that with the other gloves I had that are these hybrid style gloves, and I just don't feel like they add much value in terms of protection and support. So that's just my personal opinion. You guys might find it differently. The other thing you also notice when you do have these hybrid gloves is that the laces get tore up because the Velcro constantly snags on them, and you get these laces that are just look like your dog got a hold of them and just chewed on them. But anyhow, I'll give you guys a close up. The leather of these gloves are actually really nice. There's some blemishes on them, but the main thing is the stitching. You can see just the stitching is pretty crooked. The welted seams on here are kind of cut, very jagged. It just looks like, you know, there wasn't the attention to detail that you would expect from a Mexican, you know, glove company. Mainly right here, like on the palm side, you can see just kind of the stitching. It was kind of ran over, and some stitching that's loose and that's not even connected. So that was the main flaw I found with these gloves. You know, you do have that new sporting patch here with a 16-ounce weight tag. Hinge point's done okay, but then the leather here, and I know some, you know, leather hides, they have blemishes naturally, but you can see this one has these lines that kind of run down the grain. And you know, with some of the other brands like Reyes, they wouldn't have, in my opinion, I don't think they would have used this hide. They would have discarded this and used a smoother, cleaner section of leather than using that. And then looking at these left side gloves too, just the stitching is done kind of crooked. Same thing with the welt seams, aren't cut very nicely. You can see here again, just stitching is done pretty poorly. And then on the inside here too, you can see it does use that soft canvas liner and latex foam padding. But the big thing here is going to be this left thumb. The welted seam here has like these 3 stitches that go over. It's almost like they use the stitching to kind of connect the leather back to the seam. And then you have this random piece of thread just sticking out that just doesn't look good at all. And then the welted seams again. And then the other big thing here too, to show you guys, is going to be the symmetry of the thumb. So what I mean by that is you can tell just right there looking at it how crooked the thumbs are on the left glove. Is, you know, you can see the way they're turned in is not very straight. It's kind of crooked. And then you can see here the foam isn't cut to the correct proportion. So you have like this piece of foam that should have been trimmed off a little extra that's kind of protruding over into this compartment where your thumb sits. Now you have this little piece of foam that kind of sticks over and causes some stiffness inside there. And then again, you can kind of see just the dimensions of the foam on the thumb is just off. So those are just the craftsmanship issues I didn't have before with New Sporting. So I don't know if they're using a different manufacturer or there's someone else is making these gloves for them, but they're definitely not the same. You know, the leather is nice, yeah, but the craftsmanship is definitely gone downhill. So let's weigh these out, see how much they weigh. Let's put this left glove on first. Oops, that is in grams. Change the unit on here. 2 ounces. So left glove is 16.14. So about an ounce over on the left glove than the advertised weight. Right is going to be 16 or 18 ounces, should I say. So the other one is 17 ounces. This one is 18 ounces. So both gloves are overweight. The right one more by 2 ounces, where the left glove is 17 ounces. So that's pretty common with Mexican style gloves. I'm not really surprised by that. You know, you often see a lot of Mexican gloves, unless they're pro fight gloves, that are usually a lot heavier than what they're advertised. So on to the review. What's up guys, Carlo here, and today I'll be doing a review of these New Sporting 16-ounce hybrid boxing gloves. This is a black and gold color scheme boxing glove that is a hybrid, which means that it is both a Velcro closure and a lace-up. And like I discussed earlier in the close-up part of the video, I was sent these gloves by Armand. Shout out to Armand for sending me to try and do a review on. And I believe he got these gloves brand new from Mexican Boxing Gloves, which is an independent seller on Instagram. And he only used these gloves one time for a few rounds and just hated the way these gloves felt. And was kind of curious to see what my take on these gloves would be, because I did a review on a couple of pairs in the past, a while back, that I did a review on, which were both really nice gloves. But as many of you have heard, New Sporting both the quality and I've heard the customer service has gone downhill quite a bit. So I was kind of curious to see how these gloves would be. These are their newer style gloves in terms of the craftsmanship and the overall fit and finish of this glove. So looking at it right away, design wise, you can see it's a pretty simplistic Mexican style looking glove. The leather itself is actually pretty nice. There's some imperfections, especially on the right glove. But you know, looking at the actual design of it, it does have more of a mid to compact feel. But the composition of the foam on the inside using the latex foam is a lot different than my other new sporting gloves, which we'll go over here in a minute as far as how they feel and how they perform. But you can see here, again, traditional full leather construction. You do have the Velcro strap that wraps around with the new sporting logo that is a patch that's stitched onto the back of the Velcro wrist. You do have the 16-ounce weight tag as well. And outside of that, that's really the only indicator of new sporting being the manufacturer. You can see that the leather has more of a matte, somewhat matte finish to it. It's not super shiny. It's kind of right in the middle. You can see the grain on here. It does feel pretty thick, and it does have that traditional Mexican leather smell to it. You do see they do have a seam on the thumb right here. And then you also notice that it does incorporate, like a lot of Mexican style gloves, it incorporates the welted seams. You do have a grip bar on the palm, ventilated holes on the thumb, and then you have the double stitching throughout. Now obviously I took the laces out on this left glove just to show you guys the inside. But you have that metallic gold piping on here that actually looks pretty nice, as well as around the thumb, and as well as around this Velcro strap, which is about a 4-inch Velcro strap. Full length right there. You can see it has nice Velcro, as well as a kind of a same kind of liner they use on the inside, this soft touch canvas. And then the inside uses this soft touch canvas liner as well, with the stitching that goes along the inside. As far as padding goes, you do have about a 1/2 inch of medium density foam that goes up the inside of the wrist right here, as well as this side, and about a 1/2 inch on the back of the wrist. So, you know, when you have these gloves on, it does offer an ample amount of support around your wrist. And like I mentioned earlier, I wish they would use an elastic piece right here. That way, if you wanted to go full on Velcro and not use the laces, because you don't have somebody there all the time to lace up your gloves for you, at least you wouldn't have this gigantic bulge when you put your hand in here. I wish I could kind of show you. So you guys put this on, and imagine if my hands had wraps on them. You close this, and now you just have, with the wraps, it's this gigantic bulge in the front, which doesn't really help in terms of keeping the wrist support nice and tight. So it would be nice, even with the laces, if they incorporated an elastic band in there. They kind of just keep everything nice and tight if you decided to go with the full on, just a Velcro conversion rather than using the lace ups. And again, like I said earlier, if you do decide just to use the lace ups, I really don't feel that the Velcro strap adds more stability with the lace ups already lacing everything together. So you're almost better off if you do use lace ups, just to get the lace up version and not even use this Velcro strap whatsoever. To me, that just is kind of an inconvenience. Now, so the quality on these gloves, again, is going to be the big issue I found with these. You know, the stitching on the thumb there, stitching on the inside, aligning against the piping is the big issue, is the big thing here. The welted seams are done kind of crooked. It looks like they kind of cut it really jagged. They didn't cut it real smoothly. And then like on the right side glove, to show you guys here, stitching pattern is a little crooked around the piping that comes up and over. And then the big one for me would be the actual thumb. You can see how crooked the thumb is. They're just not symmetrical. And even when you put your hand in there, you can feel it on the inside, which is kind of a deal breaker for me when you have that. And then on the right side glove too, just the lines in the leather grain there. It doesn't affect the performance, but if you're a perfectionist, if you're somebody that just really wants to have, you know, nice quality, get what you pay for, then obviously those lines there, you would like to see them use kind of a cleaner piece of the cowhide instead of using that. But again, that's more of an aesthetic thing and not so much a performance thing. So now comfort wise, you put your hand in here, slide it in. You know, the hand compartment it does feel pretty snug. I'd say it's a medium-sized hand compartment. I have medium-sized hands, so it fits me okay. If you do have bigger hands or longer fingers, this will definitely be a tight fit for you, especially even with these being 16 ounces. So keep that in mind with sizing, that these, even at 16 ounces, feel really kind of compact on the hand. The thumb position is okay. The big issue I have here is going to be the padding on the back of the thumb feels a little bit off center. It doesn't feel like it's all the way on the back to give me some protection on the thumb. The piping here doesn't feel too tight, so that's a good thing. You don't feel like the seam cuts into your thumb. But the actual fingertip compartment, your fingertips are in a nice position. The issue here is the compartment is too small. So I found that my index finger, like these 3 fingers right here on the inside, would go numb because of how tight this hand compartment is, because they use too much latex foam on top of your fingers. So it pushes down on your fingers. You do have a smaller grip bar right here, and it feels like a grip bar is basically being pushed up against your fingers on the underside, so it makes it really uncomfortable, and I felt like my fingers would go numb. The grip bar is in a good position. Again, it's just the actual feeling of this finger compartment being too tight. The other big killer here is going to be how stiff the gloves are. Typically, a lot of Mexican style gloves, when you get them, the leather is a little stiffer, but the actual foam composition with the latex is softer, so you get a real nice broken in feel. I recently did a review on those Boxeo TM gloves, and those are perfect. You can open and close your hand to cast shots, and it just felt really nice and flexible. With these, I can't even open my hand farther than that. I mean, that's as far as I can go with opening my hand, and even making a fist is really hard. It's just super stiff. And again, that's because of the kind of latex foam. They use super dense foam on this glove on the back of the hand and in the knuckle area right here. So it makes it really hard to open and close and just make a fist, and it feels like your hand kind of fatigues out because you're constantly having to really pull down on it to make a decent fist. So I really wish that you used a different kind of foam or latex in here. There was a little bit more of a medium to soft density, or the way they layer it, that way you feel a little bit more flexibility in there as well. The other thing is, I wish there was a softer layer on the interior of the hand compartment. That way your hand feels like it has the foam wrap around it, rather than it kind of sits against the edges of the foam, rather than giving it a form-fitted feel. Now, the performance of the glove, these are definitely more of a protective glove. I wouldn't say that these are a feedback glove whatsoever. When you use these on the bag, you can just see how stiff this foam is. Let me take this glove off just to show you. You can just see this is super stiff. I mean, I'm really pushing down on it, and that's really as much give as I'm getting, and the foam is just super dense. So you definitely don't get much feedback, if any, with using these on the heavy bag. They do a decent job of protecting like the shock absorption because of how stiff they are. But if you're looking for something less like a traditional Mexican style glove, or when you make contact with the bag or whatever surface you're hitting, you can really feel the shot. These definitely wouldn't be those gloves. It's just super stiff, and it's going to take a long time for these to break in, a long time of a break-in period. So just depending on who you are, some people don't mind. I mean, you'll keep going to the gym and using these until they finally break down. But to me, that's just way too stiff if you're looking for more of a balanced style glove. Now, price-wise, just like before, new sportings, depending on where you get them from, if you're getting them from a third party, if you're getting them directly from New Sporting, there's a couple of variables. Where you get them from, what size you get, as well as what kind of material is being used. So if you're using, the basic colors like the blacks, whites, blues, reds, you're not doing anything flashy, no custom artwork, no custom name. I've seen anywhere from like $120 on up. So that's kind of the range you're paying, anywhere from $120 to $200. It just depends on what you're getting, but basically the starting point is around $120 for a pair of New Sporting gloves. The only thing I wish, again, with just the craftsmanship would have been improved, as well as just the symmetry of the thumb, making sure that they both look the same and feel the same, as well as the stiffness of the glove. To me, I wish they would have stayed with their original style, like the blue metallic ones I had, or even those maroon colored New Sportings I had. Those felt really nice. You can open and close your hands real easily. And then the craftsmanship on theirs were a lot better. They were cleaner. You didn't have any issues with stitching and whatnot. With these you do. You can actually see, like right there again, I wanted to show you guys the stitching right there. as well on the seam, so it's kind of coming apart. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these new sporting gloves. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.